I'm about to graduate and I really wish I had this during nursing school because it definitely would have helped. Here's some nursing school advice that nobody asked for as a graduating nursing student. Okay, this is actually something I wish someone told me, but start researching where you want to work when you graduate. Nursing school is going to go so fast. Like, it's going to go so fast. You're going to blink and you're going to be graduating.
Have you ever had a dream so big that you left everything behind just to make it come true? That was Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi. Everyone called her Tammy. She was just 23 years old, young and full of hope. She came all the way from the United Kingdom to the United States. Why? Because she wanted to become a nurse. She wanted to help people. Tammy wasn't just a student. She was also a TikTok star. She had over 45,000 followers. She used her page to talk about her life, her school, and her dreams. People loved her. She was sweet, calm, and always smiling. She talked about finishing school and going on a vacation soon. She never knew that her life would be cut short in the worst way. On April 26, 2025, something very bad happened. The police went to her apartment in Houston, Texas. Someone had called them to check on her. When they got there, they found her lying on the kitchen floor. She was dead. She had been stabbed many times. But that's not all. Inside the apartment, they also found a man named Chester Lamar Grant. He was 40 years old. He had wounds too. He was taken to the hospital. Later, the police said he was the one who killed her. Why did he do it? Because of a cat. Yes, a cat.
The shocking new details in the stabbing death of a British nursing student on Houston's South Side. Elizabeth Odunsi was killed just over a week ago.
And now that student's roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant, is charged in her murder. He's being held on a $500,000 bond at the Harris County Jail.
The police said they argued about his cat, and that argument turned into a deadly fight. Tammy had been living in that apartment with Chester for only a short time. Nobody knows exactly when she moved in. But what people do know is this. Chester had a bad past. He had been in trouble with the law before. He had been violent before. The police had even been to that apartment before. But no one stopped him from living there. Tammy's family is very sad. Her father says the police and the landlord should have done something. They should have known Chester's past. They should have protected his daughter. Now, Tammy is gone. She will never get to be a nurse. She will never graduate. She will never take that vacation. Her family is trying to raise money to bring her body back home to UK. They want to give her a proper goodbye. This story makes us ask, how well do we know the people we live with? Should landlords do background checks on roommates? Could this have been stopped? Keep reading to learn everything about who Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi was, what happened on that day, and what we can all learn from this sad story. Stay with us as we unravel this shocking story and uncover the heartbreaking details of what led to this senseless loss. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi was a young lady. People called her Tammy. She was 23 years old. She came from the United Kingdom. That means she lived in a country far across the ocean before she moved to the United States. She moved to a city called Houston in the state of Texas. Tammy came to America to go to school. She wanted to become a nurse. A nurse is someone who helps sick people feel better. She was a student at a school called Texas Women's University. She worked very hard in school because she wanted to learn everything she needed to help people. Tammy also liked using social media. She had a TikTok account where she shared her life. Her TikTok name was @TammyDollars. On TikTok, she showed videos about school, her journey to becoming a nurse, and her daily life. Many people watched her videos. She had more than 45,000 followers. That means many people liked her and liked what she shared online. Tammy was a happy person. She smiled a lot. She worked hard. She was kind. She cared about other people. She had a big heart. She helped others when she could. People who knew her said she was caring, hardworking, and hopeful. That means she believed good things were coming in the future. Tammy had a strong faith. She was a Christian. She believed in God and prayed often. Her family said she loved going to church and loved helping children. She wanted to work with kids as a nurse. That was her goal. Tammy had many dreams. One of her dreams was to finish nursing school. Another dream was to help children who were sick. She also talked about going on a graduation trip after school. She wanted to relax and enjoy her success after all her hard work. Tammy was loved. Her family loved her. Her friends loved her. Her followers on TikTok loved her too. Many people looked up to her. They liked how she worked hard. They liked how she stayed strong. They liked how she shared her story online. Tammy liked many things. She liked helping people. She liked school. She liked making TikTok videos. She liked talking about her faith. These were things that made her happy. Tammy had a bright future. That means she had many good things waiting for her. She had plans. She had goals. She was on her way to doing big things. She was almost done with school. She was close to becoming a nurse. She had worked so hard for that dream. Tammy's life was special. She came from far away to follow her dream. She stayed strong, even when life was hard. She used her voice to help others online. She showed the world what it looked like to never give up. Her story is about a girl who believed in herself and never stopped trying. Chester Lamar Grant is the man who lived with Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi. His full name is Chester Lamar Grant. He is 40 years old. He is from the United States. He was not a student. He was not a friend. He was her roommate. That means they lived in the same house. Chester was living in the same apartment with Tammy. That is where the crime happened. He was the person who killed her. Chester was a man with a bad past. He had done wrong things before. The police knew him. He had been in trouble with the law many times. That means he had been arrested before. He had hurt people before. He had been violent before. He had lived in the state of Washington before coming to Texas. In Washington, he had broken the law. He had been to jail. He had been charged for crimes before. These crimes were not small. He had done serious things. Chester had a record. That means the police kept notes of what he did. He was not a safe man. People who knew about his past should have been careful, but it seems no one warned Tammy. Chester was not a peaceful man. In the past, he had done violent things. That means he used force and hurt people. He had attacked others before. Some of the crimes in his past include fighting with people, hurting someone with a weapon, being arrested for dangerous actions, having mental problems that were not treated. Even though Chester had a history of doing bad things, he was still able to rent a place. He was still allowed to live with someone else. There was no rule that stopped him. That is how he ended up living in the same apartment as Tammy. The police had even been to that apartment before. That means there were already problems in that home. But nothing changed. Chester stayed there. No one removed him. Chester had lived in that apartment for about 3 months before the crime happened. That means he started staying there around January or February 2025. He was living there when Tammy died in April 2025. We do not know much about his daily life there. We do not know what kind of job he did or what he did at home, but we know he had a cat. He cared about the cat. 3 months may not seem like a long time, but a lot can happen in 3 months. Tammy and Chester were living in the same space. They may have talked. They may have had problems. But no one knows for sure what happened between them before the crime. This brings many questions. Why did no one check his history before letting him live with her? Why did the landlord not tell Tammy about his past? Why did the police not act, even after visiting the apartment? Chester's history tells us that he was dangerous. He had hurt people before. He should not have been living in the same home with someone who did not know about his past. Tammy did not know what would happen. She was just living her life. But Chester's past was full of danger, and in the end, he brought harm again. On April 26, 2025, something bad happened in an apartment in Houston, Texas. Inside the apartment lived a young woman named Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi. People called her Tammy. She was 23 years old. She came from the United Kingdom to the United States to go to school and study nursing. She was a student and also a TikTok creator with many fans online. On this day, someone called the police. The person said they were worried because they had not heard from Tammy. This kind of call is called a welfare check. That means the police go to check if someone is okay and safe. When police officers arrived at the apartment, they knocked on the door. No one answered. They went inside to look. Inside the apartment, they found something very bad. They found Tammy lying on the kitchen floor. She was not moving. She had many stab wounds on her body. That means someone had used a knife or sharp object to hurt her again and again. The police checked her body and saw that she was dead. She had been killed. The apartment was quiet. There were signs of a struggle. The kitchen had blood. It was clear that something violent had happened there. The police kept searching the apartment. They wanted to find out if anyone else was there. They walked to one of the bedrooms. Inside the bedroom, they found a man named Chester Lamar Grant. He was 40 years old. He was alive, but he was also hurt. He had at least one stab wound on his body. He looked like he had been in a fight. He was not able to talk clearly. The police quickly called an ambulance. Chester was taken to the hospital. The police stayed at the apartment to collect clues. They took pictures. They looked at everything carefully. They wanted to understand what had happened. They found out that Chester was Tammy's roommate. That means they lived in the same apartment. He had been staying there for about 3 months, but it was not clear how long Tammy had been living there. Later, police said the two roommates had an argument before the stabbing. They said the argument started because of a cat that Chester owned. The fight between them became dangerous. During the fight, Tammy was stabbed many times and died. Chester also got stabbed, but he survived. After looking at all the clues, the police said that Chester Lamar Grant killed Tammy. He was charged with murder. That means the police believed he was the one who used the knife to stab her. Even though he was hurt, the police believed he was the one who caused the crime. The apartment was sealed off by the police. They put up yellow tape and told people to stay away. This is what they do at a crime scene to protect the area. They don't want anyone to move things or change anything while they are still collecting evidence. The police told the public what they found. People were shocked. Many people knew Tammy from TikTok. Many people also asked how something like this could happen. They want to know more about Chester and why he was allowed to live there. But this part of the story was only about what the police found on that day, April 26, 2025. Tammy's body was found on the kitchen floor. She had many stab wounds. Chester was found in the bedroom, also hurt. The police took him away, and they began their investigation to find out everything that happened in that apartment. It was a day that a bright young student's life came to a sad and sudden end. The apartment became the place where the police started asking questions and looking for answers. What happened next would come later in the case. But on that day, all the police knew was that one person was dead and another was hurt, and they had to find out why. After Chester was charged, people wanted to know who he was. Police and news reports say Chester had a criminal history. This means he had been in trouble with the law before. Chester had lived in the state of Washington before moving to Texas. Records showed he had a past with violence. People now ask why someone with a violent record was allowed to live with a young student like Tammy. Police say that Chester had only been living in that apartment for about 3 months. It is not clear when Tammy moved in or how long they lived together. This was not the first time police had visited the apartment. Reports say that police had come to the home before. It is not known what the reasons were, but neighbors say they had seen police cars at the apartment more than once. Even with past visits, no action was taken to remove Chester or to warn others. After Tammy's death, people began to ask if something more could have been done earlier. Some believe that police or the landlord should have known that Chester had a violent history and that he may not have been safe to live with. Tammy's father gave interviews after her death. He said that he is very upset with how the case was handled. He asked why the police and the landlord allowed someone like Chester to live with his daughter. He said that police had failed to protect her. Tammy's father also said he may take legal action. This means he might sue the police or the landlord in court. He said they should have known that Chester had a criminal background and should have stopped him from living with her. He asked for answers and said he wanted justice for his daughter. After the news came out, many people reacted online and in the news. Tammy's friends and family talked about her after she died. They said she was a hard-working student who wanted to help people. They said she loved children and wanted to become a nurse. They remembered how excited she was to finish school. She had plans to graduate and take a vacation. Her family said she loved God and always had a kind heart. They shared pictures and stories to remember her. Tammy had many followers on TikTok. She used the name Tammy Dollars. Her followers liked watching her videos about school, her life, and her dreams. She had over 45,000 followers. When people found out she had died, they were shocked. Many people wrote messages in the comments of her videos. They said they couldn't believe what happened. Some followers shared how she had inspired them to study nursing too. Her last few videos showed her smiling, talking about her goals, and getting ready for her trip. People said they were sad to know she never got to live her dreams. Tammy's death was reported in both the United Kingdom and the United States. News websites and TV stations shared the story. The news explained how she had moved from the UK to study in the US and how her life was taken too soon. In the UK, people talk about how sad it was to lose a young woman with so much promise. In the US, people ask questions about safety in student housing. The story made many people think about who they live with and how to stay safe. After Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi's death, her family and friends were left with deep sadness. The tragic event shocked many people, especially those who knew her online. People who followed her on TikTok, where she shared her life and dreams, could hardly believe what happened. GoFundMe created to send her body home. In the days after Tammy's death, her family started a GoFundMe campaign to help with the cost of sending her body back to the United Kingdom. Tammy had left her home country to chase her dream of becoming a nurse in the United States, but now her family had to bring her body home for a proper funeral. The campaign was meant to raise enough money for her parents to pay for travel expenses, funeral arrangements, and other costs. People from all over the world donated money to the GoFundMe page, showing their support for Tammy's family. Her death touched many hearts, and they wanted to help in any way they could. The money raised would also help her family get justice for her. Tammy's death raised many important questions. One of the most serious questions was about housing laws. How was Tammy allowed to live with Chester Lamar Grant, the man who killed her? Chester had a criminal past. He had been involved in violent crimes before, yet he was living with Tammy in the same apartment. His criminal history should have been checked before he was allowed to live there, but it wasn't. This brought up the question: should landlords do more to make sure that the people who live in their properties are safe? If Tammy's landlord had checked Chester's background, they might have seen that he had been in trouble with the law. Maybe then, Tammy would not have been living with someone dangerous. This situation also raised another question. Should people be required to do background checks when they're choosing roommates? If Tammy had known more about Chester's past, would she have felt safe living with him? It was clear that she didn't know about his violent history. And if she had known, maybe she would have chosen not to live with him at all. This tragic event made many people think about how important it is to check the background of anyone who will be sharing a living space with someone. After the police arrested Chester Lamar Grant, the legal process began. Chester was charged with the murder of Tammy. The police said that the fight between Chester and Tammy started over something small, like a disagreement about his cat, but quickly turned violent. Chester was taken to the hospital for his injuries, but he was later charged with killing Tammy. The legal system would now determine what would happen to Chester. People started to follow the news to see how the case would progress. Would he go to jail for his actions? Would there be a trial where the truth about what happened would be shown? Tammy's family was waiting for justice. They wanted to know why Chester did what he did, and if he would be held accountable for his actions. They also wanted to make sure that this tragedy was not forgotten, and that something would change to help prevent similar events from happening in the future. As the story of Tammy's death continued to be shared in the news, many people began asking important questions. The main question everyone wondered was, could this have been prevented? Tammy was a young woman with a bright future. She was studying to become a nurse, and she had so many dreams ahead of her. If only things had been different. If only she hadn't been living with someone who was dangerous. Could her death have been stopped? Another big question was, should roommates have background checks? When you live with someone, you trust them with your safety and well-being. If Tammy had known more about Chester's past, she might have chosen not to live with him. Many people felt that having a background check for anyone who wants to live with you could help make sure that you are safe. Finally, people wondered, why was someone with a violent past allowed to live with her? The landlord should have checked Chester's history. He had been in trouble before, but no one seemed to check if he was a safe person to live with. This is something that could have made a big difference. If the landlord had done a better job of screening people who live in the building, maybe this tragedy could have been avoided. These are questions that still linger as Tammy's family waits for justice, and as the case moves through the courts. It is clear that something must change to help prevent other people from being hurt in the same way. Would you feel safe living with someone who has a criminal past? Do you think landlords should be responsible for checking the backgrounds of people who will be living in their buildings? What could have been done differently to protect Tammy? These are the questions we must think about as we try to learn from what happened to Tammy and find ways to keep people safe in the future. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.
When I say I am not one of them stylists, I stand on it, and you is not finna approach me as if I'm one of them stylists. I truly understand that some people really do be giving these clients the runaround. They play games, they tell them to come at such and such time, and then they stand them up. But like I said, baby, I'm not one of them, and my clients gonna forever vouch for me.
Camryn Olivia Price was a bright, 21-year-old hairstylist from Chester, South Carolina. She had a dream to make people look beautiful and feel confident, using her skills to style hair and bring smiles to her clients. Camryn loved what she did. She was always happy and full of life, and everyone who knew her said she had a special talent. She was kind, hardworking, and always ready to help others. But one night, her life came to a sudden tragic end. Camryn was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting while she was out with her boyfriend.
It's simply every parent's nightmare. A young woman shot to death in Atlanta. I'm Alan Devlin. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. Well, Camryn Olivia Price, she was shot and killed Tuesday morning. Here's a picture of her. The 21-year-old was on vacation visiting from South Carolina. Atlanta News First, Amanda Rose spoke exclusively with her family. They are still grieving this unthinkable loss.
They have been having a good time at a nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia. The last thing anyone would expect to happen was for something so horrible to occur. But in the blink of an eye, a fun night turned into a nightmare that would leave her family and friends heartbroken. Was Camryn just an innocent bystander, in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or did something more sinister happen? What really led to Camryn's death? Who was responsible? Why did this happen to such a young, talented woman who had her whole life ahead of her? As we dive into the details of this story, we will explore who Camryn was, the circumstances surrounding her tragic death, and the ongoing investigation to find a person or people responsible. Let's uncover the facts and learn more about the life and legacy of Camryn Olivia Price. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're watching from and what are your thoughts as the story unfolds. Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's begin. Camryn Olivia Price was a 21-year-old young woman from Chester, South Carolina. She was a hairstylist who was known for her skill, kindness, and big dreams. Camryn had a passion for making people feel good about themselves by doing their hair. Whether it was a simple style or something special for an event, Camryn's clients always left feeling happy with how they looked. Camryn was born and raised in Chester, South Carolina, where she spent most of her life. This small town was where she formed her first memories and built a strong connection with the people around her. Growing up, Camryn knew she had a special talent. She loved to work with hair and could create beautiful styles that made everyone look and feel amazing. At just 21 years old, she was already well on her way to becoming a well-known name in the beauty industry. Her friends and family often talked about how kind-hearted she was. Camryn didn't just make people look beautiful on the outside, but she also made them feel beautiful on the inside. She would always listen to her clients, and they loved her not only for her skill, but also for her caring personality. It wasn't just about hairstyling for Camryn. It was about making others happy and confident. Even though she was just starting out in her career, Camryn had big dreams. She wanted to grow her hairstyling business and become successful in the beauty world. She always thought ahead, thinking about the future and how she could improve her skills. Camryn was determined to make a name for herself and show everyone how talented she was. In her personal life, Camryn was very close to her family. She loved spending time with them and always made sure to be there when they needed her. Camryn's family was important to her, and she did everything she could to support them. She helped her parents, siblings, and other relatives in whatever way she could, whether it was by offering advice, helping with chores, or just being there to listen. Camryn also had a boyfriend she was very close to. They spent a lot of time together and shared many good moments. He was someone she trusted, and they cared for each other deeply. While Camryn loved her work and always focused on her career, her personal life with her boyfriend and family brought her a lot of happiness. She valued the people in her life and always made them feel special. Aside from her family and boyfriend, Camryn was also a role model to many young people who wanted to become hairstylists. She often mentored others who were interested in the beauty industry, sharing her knowledge and encouraging them to pursue their dreams. Camryn believed in lifting others up and helping them achieve their goals, just as she was working hard to achieve hers. Many of the people who worked with her admired her not only for her talent, but for her willingness to teach and guide them. Her love for hairstyling wasn't just about doing hair. It was about building community and helping others succeed. Camryn wanted to make a positive impact on the people around her. Whether it was her clients, her family, or her colleagues, she always wanted to make everyone feel valued and appreciated. She was the type of person who believed in kindness, hard work, and giving back. Camryn had big dreams, but what made her stand out was her attitude. She didn't just dream about being successful. She worked hard to make those dreams a reality. She was driven, passionate, and always looking for ways to improve. She didn't let challenges stop her from reaching her goals, and she believed in the power of perseverance. Though she was only 21 years old, Camryn had already achieved a lot in her short life. She was well on her way to becoming a respected name in the beauty industry, and she had many plans for her future. Her journey as a hairstylist was just beginning, and the people who knew her believed she was destined for great things. Camryn's story is not just about her talent as a hairstylist, but about the kind of person she was. She showed everyone that being kind, hardworking, and passionate can take you far. She didn't just want to succeed for herself, but also for the people she loved and the people she could inspire. Through her hard work, her relationships, and her positive attitude, Camryn Olivia Price made a lasting impact on everyone she met. Even though her life was cut short, her dreams and her legacy continue to inspire those who knew her. On the night of April 4th, 2023, Camryn Olivia Price, a 21-year-old hairstylist from Chester, South Carolina, went out with her boyfriend to have a fun time at a nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia. They were looking forward to a nice evening, just like many people do when they go out with friends or loved ones. The club was called the Magic City Nightclub, a popular spot in southwest Atlanta where people gather to dance, listen to music, and enjoy themselves. However, what was supposed to be a joyful night took a horrifying turn. As Camryn and her boyfriend stood outside the nightclub, enjoying the cool night air, a car suddenly pulled up near them. Without warning, the people inside the car started shooting at them. The gunshots rang out quickly, and in just a few seconds, Camryn was struck by the bullets. She was tragically shot and killed. Her boyfriend, who was standing close by, was also hit by something from the gunfire. Instead of being shot directly, he was injured by flying glass from nearby windows. Thankfully, he survived the attack, though he was hurt and shocked by what just happened. The chaos and confusion of the moment made it hard to understand exactly what was going on. Camryn, a bright and talented young woman, was taken from her family and friends in an instant. Her death was a complete shock to everyone who knew her. But the question everyone wanted to know was, why did this happen? Was this a random act of violence? Or did someone have a reason for targeting Camryn and her boyfriend? As soon as the shooting happened, the police in Atlanta started their investigation. They knew they had to figure out what caused the attack and who was responsible for it. The police began by talking to people who might have seen the shooting, including people who were inside the nightclub or near the scene when it happened. They looked for any clues that could help explain what led to the shooting. At first, it looked like this might have been a random act of violence. Drive-by shootings sometimes happen when criminals want to hurt someone without a specific target in mind. But as the police gathered more information, they started to wonder if Camryn was specifically targeted. Why did the car stop near Camryn and her boyfriend? Why did the people inside the car start shooting right away? There had to be a reason for the attack, and the police were determined to find out what it was. They examined the scene of the shooting, looking for any signs that could point to the people responsible. The police found some important clues. First, they discovered that the car involved in the shooting was seen speeding away from the area quickly. This made it clear that the people who fired the shots did not want to be caught. They didn't care who they hurt or how many people they put in danger. This behavior made the police think that it might not have been a random act, but something that had been planned. The police also looked at the security cameras from the nightclub and nearby businesses. They reviewed footage to see if the car that pulled up and fired shots had been seen in the area before. They hoped that the cameras might have caught some important details, like the car's license plate or the faces of the people inside. As the investigation continued, the police found more clues that led them to believe that this wasn't just a random shooting. They learned that the car had been involved in other crimes, and the people inside had a history of violence. This discovery made the police believe that the shooting might not have been a coincidence, but rather a targeted attack. The police worked hard to piece together the information and figure out who was responsible for the shooting. They spoke to witnesses, examined evidence, and looked for any connections between the shooters and Camryn or her boyfriend. They also spoke to people who knew Camryn to find out if she had any enemies or if there was a reason someone would want to hurt her. Even though the police had a lot of work to do, they were determined to find the truth. They wanted to make sure that whoever was responsible for Camryn's death was caught and held accountable for their actions. The investigation was just beginning, and the police knew that there were still many more questions to answer. The police had to dig deeper into the situation. Was Camryn just in the wrong place at the wrong time, or was there a deeper reason for the attack? As the investigation moved forward, the truth would slowly start to come out. For now, all anyone could do was wait for the answers. In November 2023, a 22-year-old man named Zachary Eccles was arrested for the death of Camryn Olivia Price. Camryn, a 21-year-old hairstylist from Chester, South Carolina, was tragically shot in a drive-by shooting outside a nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia. The authorities worked hard to find out who was responsible for her death, and their investigation led them to Zachary Eccles. Zachary Eccles was no stranger to the law. He was a convicted felon, meaning he'd been arrested and found guilty of breaking the law in the past. This time, however, he was facing very serious charges. He was accused of murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. These charges came after the shooting that killed Camryn. But why did the authorities think Zachary Eccles was responsible for Camryn's death? Was it just because he had a criminal past? Or was there something more that connected him to the crime? The authorities believed Zachary Eccles was involved in the shooting because of several clues they found during their investigation. They started looking for people who might have been connected to the shooting. When a crime happens, the police try to find any signs or pieces of evidence that could tell them who did it. One important clue that linked Eccles to the crime was his car. The shooting happened outside a nightclub in Atlanta, and the police believed that the car involved in the shooting was tied to Eccles. They gathered information and tracked down the car. This helped the authorities connect him to the scene of the crime. The police also looked at other evidence, such as security camera footage. Many businesses, including nightclubs, have security cameras that record what happens outside their building. The police checked the footage from the night of the shooting and found that a car, matching the description of Eccles' vehicle, was near the scene around the time of the shooting. These pieces of evidence helped the authorities build a case against Zachary Eccles. While there was no direct video showing him pulling the trigger, the car and the timing of the event pointed toward his involvement. The evidence found during the investigation was crucial in linking Zachary Eccles to the shooting. As mentioned earlier, one of the most important pieces of evidence was the car. The police found that Eccles' car was near the nightclub at the time of the shooting. It was also reported that the car had been seen speeding away from the scene shortly after the gunshots were fired. Another key piece of evidence was the information that came from witnesses. Some people who were near the nightclub when the shooting happened gave the police descriptions of the car and the person they saw in the driver's seat. These witness accounts helped the authorities understand more about the situation and confirm some of the clues they had already found. The authorities also found that Zachary Eccles had a gun. Since he was a convicted felon, it was illegal for him to have a gun. This added to the serious charges against him, including possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The police were able to trace the gun and found that it was linked to the shooting. At first, many people believed that the shooting might have been a random act of violence. Camryn was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the shooter might not have been aiming at her. But as the investigation progressed, it seemed that there might have been a reason behind the attack. It wasn't clear if Zachary Eccles knew Camryn personally, but the police considered the possibility that the shooting could have been connected to something other than just being in the wrong place. Some people believe the shooting might have been tied to a disagreement or conflict between Eccles and someone else. However, the full details of why Camryn was targeted are still unclear. The police were still trying to understand whether the shooting was truly random or if there was a deeper reason behind it. For now, the most important thing is that the authorities have arrested Zachary Eccles, and he will face the serious charges against him. The case is still ongoing, and the truth behind the shooting is still being uncovered. While we may not have all the answers yet, the arrest of Zachary Eccles has brought investigators one step closer to finding out what happened to Camryn and why her life was taken so suddenly. When Camryn Olivia Price died, it left a huge hole in the hearts of her family, friends, and everyone who knew her. Camryn was not just a talented 21-year-old hairstylist. She was a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. Her family was heartbroken when they lost her in such a tragic way. It was especially hard because Camryn had so much more to give. She was full of dreams, with a bright future ahead of her. Camryn's parents, siblings, and close relatives were deeply affected by her sudden death. Losing someone so young with so much potential is always painful. It's even harder when the death is caused by something so violent and unexpected. Her family struggled with the shock of losing her. They had trouble understanding why someone so kind and full of life was taken away so soon. Her friends and clients were also in a state of disbelief. Many of her clients had built strong relationships with Camryn. She didn't just do hair for them. She listened to their stories, offered advice, and made them feel good about themselves. Losing her left a gap in their lives. They couldn't understand why someone so full of life had her life cut short. Many of them had a hard time coping with the pain, just like her family did. The grief affected everyone in different ways. Some people were quiet, reflecting on the loss and thinking about their memories of Camryn. Others struggled to accept what happened. The pain was deep for everyone who loved her. They felt as though a light had gone out in their lives. It was difficult for them to understand how something so tragic could happen to such a good person. Her family had to find a way to cope with a heartache. Losing a child is one of the hardest things anyone can go through. But Camryn's family knew they had to stay strong, not just for themselves, but for Camryn's memory. They leaned on each other for support. They shared stories about Camryn's life and her positive impact on everyone around her. By doing this, they found comfort in remembering how much she meant to them. Even though they were devastated, they knew that Camryn would want them to stay strong. Her family found strength in their love for her and in the good memories they had of her. They also found strength in the people who continued to care for her. Her friends and clients shared their memories, too, which helped everyone feel a little less alone. In honor of Camryn's life and the kindness she showed to others, her family decided to create the Camryn Olivia Foundation. This foundation was made to help people who wanted to follow in Camryn's footsteps and become hairstylists, just like she did. They knew that Camryn had dreamed of helping others succeed in the beauty industry, so they created scholarships for students who wanted to study hairstyling and other beauty careers. The foundation also helped students prepare for special events, like prom. Camryn used to help people look and feel their best for important occasions. She would style their hair and make them feel special. Her family wanted to continue that legacy by helping students who might not have enough money for things like prom dresses, hairstyles, or other preparations. The foundation provides these students with the help they need to look and feel amazing on their big day. By creating the Camryn Olivia Foundation, her family was able to keep Camryn's spirit alive. The foundation helped others in the same way Camryn would have. It allowed her to continue making a positive difference, even after her death. People who didn't know her personally could still feel the impact of her kindness and generosity. The foundation also helped Camryn's family cope with their loss. By helping others, they felt like they were honoring Camryn's memory in the best way possible. Instead of feeling helpless, they could focus on making a difference, just like Camryn would have done if she were still here. Through the Camryn Olivia Foundation, her family was able to keep her legacy alive, helping young people follow their dreams in the beauty industry and making sure no one forgot how kind and caring Camryn had been. It was a way for them to take something painful and turn it into something positive, helping others while honoring their beloved daughter and friend. The creation of the foundation was not just about remembering Camryn, but also about making sure her impact lived on. Her family, friends, and the people she helped with the foundation would never forget the beautiful soul she was, and they would continue to carry her spirit forward. After Camryn Olivia Price was tragically killed in the drive-by shooting outside the nightclub in Atlanta, Georgia, the investigation into her death started immediately. The police were determined to find out who was responsible for her death and why it happened. They worked hard, looking for clues and talking to people who might have seen something. The goal was to figure out if Camryn was the target of the shooting, or if it was just a random act of violence. The case started to move forward when the police gathered more information. They interviewed people who were near the nightclub that night and collected evidence from the scene. At first, it looked like the shooting might have been random, which made it even more confusing. But after months of work, the police found a lead that pointed to a person who could be responsible for the shooting. In November 2023, the police arrested Jackery Eccles, a 22-year-old man, in connection with Camryn's death. He was charged with murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. This was a big step forward in the case. It showed that the police were getting closer to solving what happened that night. Jackery Eccles had a criminal history, and he was already a convicted felon, meaning he had been in trouble with the law before. The police believed that he was the person who shot Camryn, and they had evidence to back up their claim. Eccles was arrested and taken into custody, where he would wait for his trial to begin. After the arrest, the investigation didn't stop. Even though they arrested Jackery Eccles, the police still had more work to do. They needed to gather all the evidence they could to make sure they had a strong case against him. This meant looking at any security footage from the area, talking to more people who might have witnessed the shooting, and checking out any new information that could help prove who was behind it. The investigators also needed to prepare for the trial. This is when the lawyers from both sides, Jackery's defense and the prosecution, would argue their cases in court. The prosecution would present all the evidence showing that Jackery Eccles was the one who shot Camryn, while the defense would try to prove he wasn't involved. This could take time, as both sides would need to gather all the facts to make their arguments. The next step was to make sure that everything was ready for trial. This would include getting witnesses to testify, finding experts to explain any technical evidence, and making sure the law was followed carefully during the entire process. As of now, Jackery Eccles has been charged with serious crimes. The question that everyone wants answered is whether or not he will be convicted and face justice for Camryn's death. The justice system works slowly, but it's important that everything is done correctly. Eccles will have a chance to present his side of the story during the trial. If he is found guilty, he will face consequences for what he did. The punishment for murder can be very serious, and it could mean spending many years in prison. But if he is not found guilty, then he will be set free. This is why the investigation and trial are so important, to make sure that the truth is discovered and justice is served. The legal proceedings after an arrest are very important to make sure everything is fair. Jackery Eccles will have a chance to defend himself in court, and both sides will present their evidence. The judge and jury will listen to all the information and make a decision about what really happened. This process is called a trial, and it can take a long time because both sides need to gather all their facts. During the trial, the prosecution will show evidence to prove that Eccles was a person who shot Camryn. They will likely have witnesses who saw what happened, along with any physical evidence, like fingerprints or DNA. The defense will try to show that Eccles wasn't involved, but they will have to present strong evidence to convince the judge and jury. Once the trial is over, the jury will decide if Eccles is guilty or not guilty. If he is found guilty, the judge will decide what his punishment should be. This could be a long prison sentence, depending on how serious the crime is. If he is found not guilty, he will be released and won't face any punishment for crime. In the future, we can expect the legal process to continue as planned. The trial will take time, but it will be important to make sure that the truth is uncovered. Justice for Camryn Olivia Price means that the person responsible for her death will be held accountable for their actions, and the family and friends who loved her will have closure. The death of Camryn Olivia Price left many people with heavy hearts and unanswered questions. Now that some time has passed, it's important to think about what justice looks like in this case. Did Camryn's family get the justice they were hoping for? Let's break it down and look at the impact Camryn's death has had on her community, whether things have changed to prevent violence like this from happening again, and what lessons we can learn from her story. In cases like this, justice means holding the person responsible for the crime accountable for their actions. Camryn was shot and killed during a drive-by shooting outside a nightclub. Her family wants answers and justice for her. In November 2023, Jackery Eccles, a 22-year-old man, was arrested and charged with her murder. He is also facing charges for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. This arrest was a step toward justice, but the legal process is still ongoing. If Jackery Eccles is convicted, justice would mean that he is punished for taking Camryn's life. The law helps make sure that people who hurt others face consequences, but it's up to the courts to decide what those consequences should be. This is part of the justice system, ensuring that everyone is treated fairly and that those who break the law are held responsible. Camryn's death affected many people, especially those who knew her personally. She was a young woman with big dreams, a talented hairstylist, and someone who cared deeply for her friends and family. The news of her tragic death shocked her community in Chester, South Carolina, and also those in Atlanta, Georgia, where the shooting took place. People began to reflect on how dangerous things can be, even when someone is just out having a good time. Camryn's family and friends, along with others in the community, mourned her loss. Her passing reminded everyone how precious life is and how quickly things can change. In response to her death, Camryn's family created the Camryn Olivia Foundation, which helps young people who want to become hairstylists by offering scholarships. The foundation also helps students who are preparing for prom, just like Camryn used to do for others. This foundation serves as a way for her family to honor her memory and continue the work she loved. It also helps others in need, keeping Camryn's spirit alive and ensuring that her legacy is remembered in a positive way. Camryn's tragic death is a reminder of how serious gun violence can be. While it is too early to say for sure if anything has changed in Atlanta or other places to prevent violence like this, her case has made people think more carefully about safety. After Camryn's death, authorities in Atlanta increased efforts to tackle gun violence. Police have been working harder to track down illegal weapons and ensure they don't fall into the wrong hands. At a community level, people in Atlanta and beyond are becoming more aware of the dangers of violence. More organizations are talking about ways to keep people safe and how to reduce gun violence. Camryn's story and the work of her family through the foundation is part of a bigger conversation about how we can all work together to make our communities safer for everyone. Every tragic event, no matter how painful, can teach us something. Camryn's death teaches us that violence can strike at any time, and it can affect anyone, no matter how young or promising their future may be. But her story also reminds us that we have the power to make a difference. By supporting organizations that work to prevent violence, offering help to those in need, and creating safer environments, we can work to make sure fewer people experience the same tragedy. It also teaches us the importance of being kind to others and helping those who are going through difficult times. Just like Camryn did, we can all contribute to our communities and make them better places by spreading love and kindness. Who do you think is responsible for the death of Camryn Olivia Price? Do you believe it was a random attack, or do you think there was a specific reason? How do you feel about the way Camryn's family has honored her memory through the Camryn Olivia Foundation? Do you think this will help others who are in need? What do you think should happen to Jackery Eccles if he is convicted? What kind of punishment is fair for someone who takes another person's life? How can we work together as a community to prevent violence like this from happening again? What changes do you think are necessary? Do you think enough is being done to solve cases like Camryn's? What improvements would you make to the investigation process? Camryn's story is one of pain, but also of hope. Through the Camryn Olivia Foundation, her family is turning their grief into something positive. They are helping others just like Camryn would have wanted. As we reflect on her death, it is clear that we all have a role to play in creating a safer world, whether through supporting anti-violence efforts, standing up for justice, or simply being kind to one another. We can all make a difference. Camryn's legacy is a reminder that while life can be unpredictable and unfair, the love and support community can help heal wounds and prevent further tragedy. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.